2013 TED Talk, Link Between Unemployment and Terrorism, Muhammad Ali told a story of a young man from Somalia. He moved to the capital, Mogadishu, in order to find a better life for himself, to find employment. However, a year later, he was still unemployed. He ended up finding a dynamic group of people who gave him food and money and introduced him to a woman who would later become his wife. As the story continues, Muhammad tells that a car bomb goes off in the city and says, quote, "That small town kid with big city dreams was the suicide bomber, and that dynamic group of people were Al-Shabaab." Looking back, the small town kid would not have met Al-Shabaab had he been employed, and even yet, he wouldn't have been unemployed were it not for the poor job market. Over the past year, I've been educating myself on African affairs in order to start my own nonprofit someday. And in my research and observations, I have found that each issue is interconnected. And so I propose that improving Africa's environment will improve her economy as a whole. This would be through sustainability initiatives. To further explain this, I would like to define some terms. The first being Africa's environment, which would be her farmlands and rainforests. By sustainability initiatives, I'm talking specifically about farmer education programs that would allow farmers to produce their crop without having a negative impact on the environment. And by economic improvement, I mean ensuring job and income security specifically for farmers. Farming is the number one influence on the economy and the environment, which is why I'm highlighting on this topic. In fact, it is so substantial that in a 2013 report by the New Partnership for African Development entitled Agriculture in Africa, Transforming an Outlook, the 33 million, that's 80% of all farms in Africa are family subsistence farms, which are farms that are family owned and operated and only sell surplus crops, the crops that are left over. Small farms are not producing the crop yields or capital that is needed because of their environmental impact. Family sustenance farms have been depleting the soil because farmers are poorly educated. They do not know to use fertilizer. They see it as an extra cost and an extra step in the process of creating their produce. So they aren't using it. Because of this, the soil depletion rate has increased, and they are using slashing and burning techniques in order to use forest land instead. However, the forest land does not stay fertile for long, no more than like 3 years or so. So then it becomes ineffective, and they're taking a toll on the environment as well as on their income. This is what is encouraging youth to move into cities, because they see farming as unprofitable and risky. And so I define my limitations by saying that using fertilizer and diversifying and rotating one's harvests will allow farmers to sell and produce more crops to sell at local, national, and international markets. This will let them have a larger profit, make farming less risky, bring more jobs for youth, and decrease urbanization. My application is proof that this is going to work, because the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, which is an alliance focused on improving the income and sustainability of small farmers in Africa. They have been doing a project to improve this since 2007. In their report, they said that in 2007 they started reaching out to families 18.2 million families in 18 sub-Saharan countries. And by the end of that year, they were selling 14.6 million tons of surplus. But by 2015, that number increased to 0.3 billion. So this will work, and it is successful. In conclusion, environmental sustainability is more than protecting the earth from climate change. It's about creating positive change. If farmers rotate crops and use fertilizer, rather than slash and burn deforestation, they will have more opportunities and means of increasing production and income. Less people will have to depend on a dried up job market that cannot provide for them. This sort of sustainability and stability would have kept the young Somalian from having to turn to Al-Shabaab, from having to see them as his only support system. It would have kept him off the streets and even kept him from leaving home. Thank you.